Senator Bernie Sanders said the vote was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Sonia Hostin is making over $40,000 a week. And now she is, I said a week. And now she is mad at the senator for voting yes to reopen the government. She's mad at the senator for basically allowing millions of Americans to be able to feed their family, for allowing our troops to get paid. These people are so disconnected from reality. They have no idea what most people in this country are going through.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from. And because we vote like that. Or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills.
Common sense has not been a thing in the Democratic Party for so long. Now, every time someone from the left uses reason and common sense, we say, wait a minute, what's going on here? You don't sound like a Democrat. Now, let me be very clear here. I am certainly not a fan of Fetterman's policies. However, when it comes to being the voice of reason, he is the only Democrat we can talk to.
So you were critical of this shutdown from the outset, saying it never should have happened, never should have come to this, even at times criticizing your own party. So I want to ask you, why did you ultimately decide to support this agreement? And where do you stand on the growing number of Democrats who are calling for Leader Schumer to step down in light of the shutdown deal?
Oh, there's a lot there. Well, first of all, it's not like I agreed to that. I mean, I've been consistently. Now, remember, this all that went back to March. I effectively kind of led the charge now that it's wrong to shut our government down. And then enough of us realized that that's just too risky and that's too much chaotic. And then we kept it open. And I know there was a lot of backlash for that. And I declared back then, we'll be right back in the end of September. And I will be there too, because it's fundamentally the wrong thing. When you're confronting mass chaos, I don't think you should respond with more chaos or fight with more chaos. It's like, we need to be the party of order and logic.
I'm sorry to say, Senator, but the Democratic Party has never been the party of order, never been the party of logic. From the beginning of time, you guys have been the party of nonsense. From open border policies to men going to women's bathroom, not being tough on crime, socialist policies, you name it.
And now I refuse to weaponize the SNAP benefit for 42 million Americans, that rely on feeding themselves and their family, or making flying in America less safe. Or I refuse not to pay our military and all of the unions attached to all of this and people. So for me, it's like I don't agree with that tactic to respond to the circumstances that we're confronting on this.
42 million Americans on SNAP benefits. I think we need to talk about something else here, guys. I think that is an indication something is wrong. I think that is an indication It is time to really start prioritizing the American people. 42 million Americans need the government in order to eat. Meanwhile, we are sending hundreds of billions of dollars overseas. We just sent $20 billion to Argentina.
We have to have the ability to agree to disagree on some of these core issues right now. And now, right, for me, I think it was the wrong thing to do those things, because under this shutdown, no one was getting anything. There was no SNAP. There was no, healthcare extensions on those things. Well, no, too. So for me, it's like reasonable Democrats can disagree on certain kinds of core things, but I hope we could all agree that chaos is the wrong response for the kinds of chaos that our nation has been in after the president's reelection.
I disagree with the senator here. He just said nobody was getting anything. That's a lie, because the Democrats in Congress, they were getting paid while they were saying, let's keep the government shut down. They were using the taxpayer money to pay themselves while the taxpayers are suffering. And one thing to mention here, the Democrats, they were not negotiating. No, they kept the government in hostage because they said until they get money to take care of illegal migrants, they are going to starve the American people. They are going to create chaos. And that's exactly what they did. And of course, we're not surprised, because we know the Democrats, when there is chaos, that's when they thrive the most. You guys remember 2021, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. You guys remember how they destroyed, burned down this country? Right? That's when they are able to use identity politics. That's when they are able to divide white people versus black people, straight people versus non-straight people. Their intention is not to bring solution. It's not to bring progress. It's not to make the American people's lives better. No, their intention is to get power and to remain in power. And they will do whatever it takes. The Democrats are like a bunch of little kids. Once they don't get what they want, they just mess everything up. But the reality is, I think the American people saw through the BS. If you ask anyone with half a brain what was the reason behind the government shutdown, they will tell you it was because of the Democrats. It was the Schumer shutdown.
My party crossed a line of now putting 42 million Americans with their SNAP benefits, and making flying less safe and that kinds of chaos, and not paying our military. I mean, that was a red line for me that I can't cross as a Democrat. And I think that's been described country over the party. And now that I think that's been the truth throughout it, and it's only wrong to shut our government down. And I'm relieved. But the people now that are going to get paid and fed, and millions of Americans, they're going to be flying now, that's going to be made more safe and restored.
I think it's fair to say that the senator is no longer a Democrat, because this type of common sense, they don't use them from the left, right? And that's exactly why the Democratic Party has been trying to kick him out for a long time.
Tonight's show.
Interesting thing, watching all these multi-millionaires demanding for the government to remain shut down, while we have millions of Americans suffering and starving. And these multi-millionaires from their vacation homes making videos demanding the government to remain shut down. The audacity. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment, let me know what to take as a content to be more, but most importantly, better content, and call out the nonsense from the left. We are here upholding and promoting conservative values, because this is what we believe in. God, family, country. Repeat after me. God, family, country. As always, may God bless you, and may God bless the best nation on the planet. May God bless the United States of America.